My pinball game was working, but something was missing, the game loop. So I tried to actually implement it. Now there are rounds, you can win or lose, and even buy upgrades between them. To get there, I first need to give the game an actual goal. So I added a target score for each round. And I added tickets as a currency, which immediately broke. If you scored 1000, the tickets just went into infinity. But after fixing that, when you win a round, your score resets. You get tickets, and the next round gets harder. And that was basically the bare bones round system. But it still felt a bit empty. So I added a shop between rounds. And of course, the first version of the shop was a bit broken. Clicking one button turned the entire shop green. Clicking again just turned it back. But even after that, the shop didn't really do anything. No items, no icons. But hey, at least the skip button worked. So I added the first upgrades. Right now, there are only two. An extra ball and a score multiplier. But of course, it didn't work properly at first again. I could buy the extra ball, but it didn't actually give me one. So for a while it just didn't work. But at least, losing now actually did something. So at this point, I had a very basic core loop. Rounds, a shop, but visually, it still felt pretty empty. So I started working on the visuals. I began with things like the settings icon, and then moved on to the tickets. The first version was way too big. The second one just didn't feel right. But eventually, I landed on something I liked. And then, I worked a bit more on the ticket design itself. At first, it was just a W. Then I tried writing 1, but eventually I settled on this. Then I brought everything into the game. I added the UI frame, a background, and all the important information like the round score and tickets. And I also fixed the extra ball upgrade, so it finally did what it was supposed to. But there was a next issue. The multiplier was working, but the score pop-up wasn't. So I'd get 60 points, but the pop-up still showed 50. But that was a problem for later. First, I made the score to be more visible, so it's easier to tell what you're aiming for. After that, I added the win screen and the lose screen. So at this point, most of the UI and visuals for the main scene were done, including the win and lose screen. So the next step was working on the shop. I also started thinking about the theme. You are trapped in a room full of pinball machines, and the only way out is to beat them. So winning means escaping this pinball hell. That's why I wanted everything to feel a bit more broken, like it's been left behind. I also wanted a strong contrast. The gameplay is bright and exciting, but the shop feels empty, like no one's there, and you're just stuck. Right now, everything still looks pretty simple, but I want to push that further later on, with more playfields that feel more and more worn down. Then I added the shop to the game, but it was way too small, so I fixed the scale, and started working on the score pop-up. And at this point we all know I ran into problems. Okay, that's not right. The fix was actually pretty simple. I just forgot to use the right value, and after that the score pop-up worked. There was also an issue with the ball spawn. It wasn't spawning in the right position, but it was just the order of the code. Once I fixed that, it worked. Then I added a few final touches, like proper icons for buying and skipping, and expanded the win and lose screen. I also added the score pop-up when the ball falls out, so it shows how much that run actually scored, instead of just the total score. But by doing all of this, the project got really messy. I already knew my structure wasn't great, but I didn't really know how to fix it. Then I got a comment from someone who pointed me in the right direction, and that's when I started restructuring everything. The first thing I did was rebuild the playfield. I created a reusable bumper scene with its own script, so each bumper could handle scoring properly. While testing, something was definitely off. Every bumper hit was removing a ball. Then I cleaned up the flippers, they used to be duplicated, so I made one reusable scene with a single script, and now both sides use the same logic. Before, the main scene was a complete mess. Everything was just thrown together. But now, it's way more organized. The UI is split into separate scenes, instead of everything being in one place. And the code is much cleaner now, which makes everything easier to work with. And now, it finally feels like a real game. You start a run, try to reach your target score, lose if you fail, and if you win, you go to the shop, upgrade, and keep going. It's still not fully finished yet. Some things are missing, and it's not balanced yet. But the core loop is there. And honestly, I learned a lot from this. Not just about coding, but about structuring a project properly. At the start, everything was kind of messy, and I didn't really know how to organize it. But after rebuilding parts of it, it finally started to make sense. I'm also slowly finding my workflow in Godot. Things are getting easier, and most importantly, I'm having fun making games, and making these videos as well. There are still a lot of small problems along the way, things breaking, features not working, but that's just part of it. Next, I want to push this further, and actually turn it into more of a roguelike. Right now it gets repetitive pretty quickly, so I want to add more variety, different upgrades, different ball types, and make each run feel different. And yeah, it probably needs sound. It's still just the beginning, but I'm working on it.